from. Africa, unite. Africa, let us unite. We need each other. We need one another to grow. Africa, unite.
Nwana mema mache mama ha mama jo eba Nananyina TV so. Guys, welcome to Nananyina TV. There's been this concern about NPP just refusing to accept the fact that the NDC is actually working and putting things in order in appreciating the city. There are a lot going on with the gold board that was formed, led by Cedi. I mean, this board is really working, and they've put measures that now all the golds that are being produced go through a process and then being bought by Ghana in the local currency, and then before it goes to the foreign for export and then for foreign exchange. So this has boosted the morale of the Cedi and it's gaining strength. And you know, a lot of MPP guys are attributing this to the fact that the US and Chinese having some trade issues and that the dollar is falling, which is leading to the rise of the Cedi. Now, have you ever thought of it that what about Nigeria?
Africa, remember where we're coming from. Africa, unite. Africa, let us unite. We need each other. We need one.
They have these in abundance, but yet still their naira is still depreciating. So if it is so, why is it that the naira is also not appreciating, but then the Cedi is appreciating? It means we're making good measures towards our gold and its exports. You see, the board is working, the government is working, they are putting measures in place and thereby making sure that we are generating a lot of income and the Cedi is gaining strength. It's not about US fucking up against China and that making their product come down. No. Making their dollar to depreciate. No. It's rather the board and the government in power really working and making sure that the gold is being bought in our local currency and not the dollar before it goes through the channel of export, and there it gains strength. Cedi and Co are working. They are doing their best and the Cedi is gaining strength. MPP is just trying to frustrate people, turning people's minds that it's rather the US that are fucking up and losing gain on the market. But surely and truly, the board, the Ghana Gold Board, is also working and making sure our gold is appreciating and gaining strength on the market, and thereby making our Cedi stronger and stronger. Let's join.
Africa, remember where we're coming from. Africa, unite. Africa, let us unite. We need each other. We need one another to grow. Africa, unite.
Anyuanum enti which is a Ghana board, gold board na yate no. Omo ye adwuma pa, because se ekoba se say US and dollar na eba from Emma Cedi Guinea. Why is it not the other currencies now? And also our to say Nigeria almost what pork and huge abundance of gold and then oil. I don't know almost Cedi no almost naira no and appreciate it. Na still kwa na ekɔ from senior DBI ni no. Na mom Ghana Cedi no air rise. So you don't attribute it to say China US in 70 ama dollar na air flop it. Intina Ghana again. No. The board, Ghana Gold Board is really working. And no, and ama a gold na yenya no. Ye tono ya currencies no. Ye mfa dollar no neto. Iti the gold no omo make sure say ye gold no mbe nyina mbe channel into the local government not wato in Ghana Cedi. Then ye nyana in bulk then they export. Nti ubon say ama ye sika no mu yedu. Oh. And the main aim now for Ghana Gold Board na say good mines no na yin nyina no omo export straight. No, it goes through the government and then the government will buy it, and then at the end of the day the government rather will take it to the world market for higher exchange rates. So now the Cedi no gain strength for these measures are omoyena. And kudos to Sami Jemfi and Co. They are really working. Omoye Juma. Omoye Juma. Anti Emma attributed to say dollar no eba for monty. Dollar ne ba na eba for no does not have any effect. If even it does, the board is also working and making sure that your turn your local currencies no and sa they are good market na ako gain. And that is the strategy now. Ghana Cedi no gaining strength and becoming stronger and stronger now. Joy news so omo analysis kakra omo ye far as to how your gold no gaining strength. Nkonko TV.
Africa, remember where we're coming from. Africa, let us unite. We need each other. We need one another to grow. Africa,
Good afternoon. Welcome to another exciting edition of Beyond the Numbers, coming to you live here from our studio in Kukumlemle in Accra. My name is Winston Haki, and I'm doing this amazing show with my brother.
Caleb Zablem, it's good to be here, like always.
Today, your swag no day ground.
Oh, I'm watching you, bro.
Awesome. So, viewers, today, I'm sure a lot of us have observed the sudden trend of the Ghana Cedi appreciating against the dollar. One will say if it's going down or it's going up, we keep saying the Bank of Ghana, but this time around, either they are doing it or not, kudos to the central bank for us witnessing such tremendous appreciation of the cedi. But we want to also go deeper to understand what is really causing the cedi, what has been the trend over the past few years or few months, and what are the triggers so far. What is the central bank doing, and what is the global outlook of the currency, its impact on our reserves, also its impact on our service of our debt. Possibly we'll also assess to see how the pound is also responding to the market triggers globally, and will bring you down to what is really happening there. You can join the conversation also on Zoom and on WhatsApp, and let's hear what you have to say. We'll also be joined on Zoom by the Bank of Ghana. That is the head officer in charge of financial market at department at the Bank of Ghana, who will be giving us some insight on what the central bank is doing, and also deep information with regards to the outlook going forward. So stay tuned with us here on Beyond the Numbers, and let's go straight to the numbers right now on the screen. So
Africa, remember where we're coming from. Africa, let us unite. We need each other. We need one another
We'll go to the numbers shortly, but the dollar is running some, possibly not like Usain Bolt, but the cedi is rather overtaking the dollar. What do you make of that?
Yeah, Winston. So the first month of May, the first few weeks of this month, May, we've seen that the cedi has appreciated sharply against the dollar. And this morning, when you check on the online platform, Bloomberg, Global Finance, Reuters, it says that $1 is trading for 13 cedis, 40 pesos. And this is the lowest we've seen since May 2024, which is good news for everyone. Even though on the forex markets it's still about 14 cedis per dollar, but online, almost all the online trading platforms sell it as 13 cedis, 40 pesos now, which is good news. And then, so as you can see on the slide,
yes,
from January till March and some parts of April, the dollar was very stable, and this was very unlikely.
And this stability is very interesting.
Exactly.
It was stable between March and May 2025.
Around February, March, April.
Around 15 cedi, 55%. It stayed there.
Very stable for a long time. And it was very surprising because if you look at the trend, the exchange rate always goes up. Even though there are some ups and downs you can see, it's always an upward direction. But then for the first time in a very long time, and we'll get to the trend over the past 7 years or so, this is the longest we've seen the cedi to dollar value stay almost the same, which is incredible. But then in the first month of May, we've seen this huge drop from 15 to now 13 cedis, 40 pesos, which is, it's tremendous.
What is quite interesting is that we realized that in the first month of January, we started servicing most of our maturing debt, Eurobond in most of the cases, and we made those payments. Nonetheless, that is when we started witnessing some marginal decline in the dollar to the tune of 14 cedis, 60 pesos. And we saw it climbing up between January to February, that period there. And interesting enough, from 16 Ghana cedis
in November,
40 pesos in November, that was a very scary moment. We saw people deciding to buy more dollar to hold because they feared that depreciation will weigh away the value of the currency. And businesses were quite vociferous, especially the Guta, who were saying that the prices of imported products keep going up and they could not withstand and were consistently putting pressure on the central bank to intervene. There were several intervention strategies. We saw the gold for oil policy that came to light, and that program was another very interesting there. But 13 cedis, 40 pesos, some would say wonders or signs and wonders.
I know it's also very interesting because in November, when it went to 16.4, that was right before the elections. And when we saw the drop, we even did a show here. We're saying that it's suspicious. Right before the election, the cedi is performing very well against the dollar, and it dropped all the way down to 14.6 cedi to the dollar in January 2025. And since then, it went up, but it stopped at 15.5. That's where it maintained for about 3 months. The longest. So you can go to the next slide. And
as we were saying before, even we get to that, we saw the IMF review who were initially advocating when they met recently during the meeting. They said this is a positive indication. It gives positive outlook to international market, looking at how the cedi is performing. But let's take a look at the from 2020 to 2025. What do you make? I see a lot of greens. What is happening here?
So the first thing I wanted us to look at was this part.
Yes.
This is where the cedi to the dollar was very stable, around the $15.5 mark. And if you look from 2022 to 2025, that's around here to all the way here.
Yes.
You can see that it's always going up. There's always ups and downs, always going up. There's no period where it's just stable. That was before 2022. We could see very significant stability. But then from 2022 to 2025, the stability was not really there. It was very volatile. Either it's going up or ups and downs. So this is the first time in a very long time that we are seeing that the cedi to the dollar has been very stable, which is very good news. And then
Africa, remember where we're coming from. Africa, let us unite in each other. We need one another to grow. Africa,
at the first week of May, we've seen that it has dropped from 15 to now 13. But then I made this part red because of a very interesting precedent.
Go deeper.
So in 2022, I don't know if you all recall this, but in 2022, November 2022 to be specific, the dollar climbed up to 14.3 to the cedi. And all this is the interbank rate, not the black market or the local rate. So it jumped up to 14.3, and that was the highest we've ever seen. That was when the country was, you can say, in a crisis.
Yes.
So it went up to 14.3, and then in a month, from November to December, it dropped sharply to 9 cedis. And we're all happy about it, like the way we are happy right now.
Yes.
But then in just a few months, the next month actually, from November 14%, 14.6 cedis to the dollar, it went down to 9 cedis. Then it went sharply up again to 12 cedis. So in just a space of 3 months, the dollar went from 14 to 9 and went back up to 12 again. So I brought this in because we've seen this drop before. But the thing is that before this drop we are seeing now, there was stability, which we hadn't seen before, which is a very good news for the market. Listen.
People are wondering whether we can sustain this stability.
Exactly.
And that is a very
sustainability.
typical question. The sustenance of the stability. One thing that we could quite agree to the fact that this cedi going through a very interesting marathon began since the period of COVID from 2022. We keep seeing,
Exactly.
If you look at the average jump from this point, which is basically 5 cedi,
Around 5,
50 pesos, we jumped as high as 14 cedis to the 16 cedis.
The highest we've seen so
Even
far.
13 cedi. So you keep wondering whether these corresponding figures go with the same inflationary trend and how the central bank's policy has been. If you look at, you can to understand the behavior of the monetary policy rate based on the performance of the cedi and how inflation is behaving quite for some time. Now, if you look at the first quarter of 2025, you realize that if you look, the inflation has been marginal, increasing by 0.3%, and you've seen the rate of 4. As of today, we got the figure at 22.1%.
1.2,
which is 1.2%, and that is very interesting. The averaging 0.18 basis points, and this is quite commendable, meaning that the economic triggers are responding to policy, and that is something that we're hoping it will be sustained subsequently into the rest of the year. And businesses will feel the impact. Although the cedi is going up, is appreciating, there are implications to this effect because already we have a lot of obligations, especially payments of debt, maturing debt. Although the cedi is appreciating, meaning that it's going to cost more to service our domestic debt or our external debt. And if that is the case, meaning that we'll need more cedis to service our dollar-related debt, we're hoping that the time will come where we are able to get to that point. There are also indications that internationally, the cedi is performing well on the international market because people are pulling away from the U.S. market due to the tariff announcement by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That has triggered a lot of investment into the Asian market because they find it quite sustainable, not sure of the volatility or stability in the U.S. market. People are also seeing the gold as proper.
Africa, remember where we're coming from. Africa, unite. Africa, let us unite. We need each other. We need one another to grow. Africa,
Exactly.
We'll come to that.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, from the cedi, we want to see what is happening now to another very important figure. But before we come to the gold, Caleb, you were mentioning how the 13 cedis, 40 pesos has been quite prevalent on a lot of platforms.
Yes, so right now, almost all the trading platforms are now 13 cedis, 40 pesos, or slightly closer to 14 cedis, which is the lowest. So as you can see from the red line, it's the lowest for 1 year now. So from May last year to May this year, this is the lowest that the cedis to the dollar has ever been, which is good news. But people want to understand why, like what's happening now that hasn't happened before. Why is this, why are we seeing this now? Why is the appreciation happening now?
The director will help us with the next slide.
The next slide, exactly.
The next slide, but it's a bit static, but you go on.
Yeah, but mainly because of our exports, and so the central bank, last week, our colleague had a conversation with the governor of the central bank, and he said there's increased foreign forex inflows into the country, which is mainly because of gold. Now gold prices are an all-time high, about $3,000 per ounce. That's the highest I've ever been, and it keeps going up. And because we are a gold-producing country, we are benefiting a lot from the increased gold prices. In 2020, last year in 2024, we rigged in about 1.4 billion from gold. This year, we rigged in 2.3 billion, which means we've had an excess of 1 billion as compared to last year. And in previous years, we had a cocoa syndicated loan to help. But since the cocoa syndicated loan is not there anymore, we are now falling on to our other commodities, which is gold. So gold has brought in so much dollars into the country now that it's helping the central bank offset some of the demand and then the supply restrictions.
It gives us a very good macro outlook.
Exactly.
The year 2025, based on the policies that were put in place by the central bank. Initially, when they brought about these policies, there were a lot of allegations.
And you mean the gold purchase problem?
Exactly. The central bank was quite consistent, saying that these measures take time. And so far, we're seeing the trickle-down impact of the gold reserve program. We'll certainly be speaking to the central bank on this particular topic. I want to take our viewers through the Bank of Ghana's gold reserves for the year 2020, from 2023 to 2025, how we've accumulated so far. So you realize that from 2023 to 2025, as at 2023, our gold reserve was 8.7 tons, and it kept growing from 8 to 16, 16 to 20. That is in February 2024. So between this short period, between this 2 years period,
just 2 years,
it's been interesting. We're as low as 8.7. Many people always make sure your currency is backed. But it appeared that as at May 2023, our currency was not really backed strongly. Possibly it was backed because we did not feel the depreciation happening as of that period. But if you look at the statistics, as of 2023, we realized that we experienced great disinflation here, depreciation here, which is 14.3. That's when the cedi was down. And if you look at our gold reserve as at that time, 2023, it was 8.7. So it gives a very interesting outlook. But we keep seeing our reserves increasing to the tune of 30.5 and now stands at 31.3. And your explanation to that speaks a lot of volume to this data.
So because the Bank of Ghana now has the gold purchasing program, they started to accumulate gold in their reserves, which is supposed to help build confidence in the markets. Because if maybe another crisis or something happens, investors are aware that there's gold that can easily be sold and then used to back up the currency or any other thing. So there's more of confidence in the markets. The gold reserves now has added a little more confidence into the markets. And if you go to the next slide, you can see that gold has gone up.
Yes.
Exactly. This is what I was talking about. Our gold exports, when we export the gold, we are getting dollars. So our gold exports has gone up from 1.4 last year to 2.3. And this is for just the first 2 months of the year, January and February. And this is the highest we've seen since 2016. If you go to the next slide again.
This is over basically 100% increase, and that's very interesting.
And if you go to the next slide again, you see that
cocoa
export too has gone up again, because now we are benefiting from the high cocoa prices on the market. Last year, we couldn't really benefit from the high cocoa prices because we were locked into some forward sales. But now we are benefiting from the high cocoa price on the market, which is why more forex and more currency has come back to show up the cedi. It's a very good thing.
Okay, we will come back to these numbers very shortly as viewers are watching us from all over the world. We are at the moment being joined by the central bank. That is Mr. Nisowa Ahulu, is the officer in charge of financial market department at the Bank of Ghana, who is joining us on Zoom. Good afternoon, sir. It's good to have you here on Beyond the Numbers.
Yeah, good afternoon to you at the studio, and good afternoon to listeners.
Amazing. We'd like to understand, the Ghanaian cedi appreciated by approximately 5.3% against the US dollar in April 2025, culminating in a 7.44% year-to-date gain. What key factors have actually contributed to this notable performance?
Yeah, thank you very much. The notable performance we've had, like you have discussed in the studio, has been supported by the significant accumulation in gold reserves. As a result of our domestic gold purchase program, we've also had significant foreign exchange purchases from the mines and the international oil companies. We've also had significant inflows from cocoa, like you've shown from your graph to viewers. We've also had significant and strong inflows from remittances. We've also had some significant corporate FX inflows, which has together, or I would say collectively, supported the Cedi over the period.
Okay, thank you. But also, there are reports that the Bank of Ghana injected some almost $500 million into the markets in the month of April. And is this true? And also, is this what's keeping the Cedi to the dollar very stable? And if this is what's keeping it stable, how long can the bank sustain this?
Well, let me indicate that what the bank does is to provide support to significant sectors when there is build-up in demand pressures. So you're right. In April, the demand you see there was coming out of increases in demand from the energy sector, from manufacturing, fast-moving consumer goods, and the like, which is what is accounting for what you see. But significant proportion of it is mostly for the energy sector support to ensure that payments are on track, which provides stability for us on the energy sector, as well as its overall impact on economic growth. So that is what you saw in April.
Okay. Great. Beyond central bank interventions, how have global economic dynamics, such as the U.S. tariff, their policies influenced the Cedi's appreciation during this period?
You're right. The U.S. tariff imposed on its trading counterparties has created some recession fears. And indeed, Donald Trump himself has hinted that Americans should brace up for some pain in the short term. Because of the recession fears, the U.S. economy and the U.S. dollar has become relatively unattractive, causing some sell-offs of the U.S. dollars and other assets, which therefore is leading to increase in demand for other assets as safe havens. And we have gold as one of them. And that is why with the uncertainties, you are seeing the rally in gold prices. And for us as well, because of the build-up as a result of the gold purchase program, we are also benefiting significantly from these uncertainties and its effect on the prices, which is also helping to reinforce the FX build-up that you are seeing.
Oh, thank you. And I think the last question is, now the central bank now has a reserve of 31.37 tons of gold. And how is that building the confidence of investors? Is this doing something for investors? And also, looking at the balance sheets of the bank, would this increase in gold reserves help push the bank out from its negative equity position?
Africa, remember where we're coming from. Africa, Africa, let us unite. We need each other. We need one another to grow. Africa,
Okay. The impact of building reserves is to give confidence to investors that the central bank has enough to be able to support its currency when it's under pressure, as well as giving assurance to external investors that maturities of their investment in the country can be supported with the necessary FX for payment. So this build-up in reserves is giving the appropriate confidence. And in that regard, then, you also have a reduction in demand pressures or speculation on the currency. And it's the huge build-up you are seeing that is forestalling that speculative part, and also the confidence that people have in the currency, which is inuring to the benefit of the country and the stability we are seeing.
Finally, many are wondering what the central bank is doing. Basically, the Gold for Reserves program involves the central bank purchasing 20% of gold output from mining companies. How does this initiative enhance the country's foreign reserves? Because you've mentioned that a lot is being done to advance our reserves.
Yeah, you're right. We've been mining gold for so many years, but we've never taken a bold initiative like we have done. And therefore, with the initiative we've taken and the significant accumulation you are seeing in the gold side, we are beginning to get the benefit of the natural resource that we've basically neglected in terms of strategy over the years. And like you indicated, we are dealing in this project with the mines, the big mining companies. Currently, we engage about 10 of the mining companies through the Ghana Chamber of Mines. And in doing that, we are able to get the commitment of the banks as to how much they are willing to be able to sell to the central bank over the year. So we are confident in our discussions with them and the agreement we have with them as to how much we are going to get over the year. And that is what gives us the confidence that we can continue to sustain the program.
And I think we'll end here, but aside the inflows we've seen from Forex, we've seen from the remittance space and all of that, is there any step in, let's say, policy-wise, that the bank is taking that has resulted in this appreciation we are seeing so far?
You're right. Let me indicate that what you've seen is two components. Okay. We have dwelled a lot on the internal and factors and the initiative. And like I've also mentioned, we've also had the benefit of the external side as a result of the uncertainties that has triggered as a result of the tariff issues. So we have a combination of both the domestic and external factors reinforcing the position we are seeing. And from the central bank's perspective, as long as we continue to maintain prudent monetary stance and consider the program and it's on course. And even let me also add that given the onboard of the gold board, we are expecting that it will even provide the avenue for us to even ramp up a lot more of the gold purchases. And so going forward, it should be good for us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nyisola Ahulu. We appreciate your time here on Beyond the Numbers. We've been speaking to the officer in charge of Financial Market Department at the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Nyisola Ahulu. We appreciate your time. So, yes, it appears that you've had the central bank's decision, the new approach, the direction of policy, and how critical it is to advance the initiative of ensuring that our city remains in a very comfortable lead. But it appears he said a lot of things.
He said a lot.
Quite interested in the aspect of Ghana now taking the bold decision to ensure we mine gold coast. Over the years, we failed to ensure that our gold deposit reflects in our economic performance.
I mean, and like the rep from the Bank of Ghana said, the gold board is not fully in operation yet. So when it comes into operation, they are expecting that more gold is going to come into the central bank's reserves, which boosts our confidence in the markets with the reserves, and also with more forex inflows from the sale of the gold that we are now going to get from the gold board, which is going to be tremendous. So he's painting a picture that we are going to see some much more appreciation in the coming months, and also because of the dollar itself is losing value in the international markets. Because the dollar right now, because of Trump's uncertainties and his trade policies and his more protectionist in the US points of view, people are trying to move away from the dollar more and move to now gold, which is why we are benefiting so much, which is a good thing for us. And also the US, Trump says he wants a weaker dollar because that's going to enhance the exports of US goods. So if, looking at these factors, if Trump remains Trump, we might see...
If Trump remains Trump,
exactly.
I like the rhyme there.
If Trump remains Trump, we might see a little more appreciation in the coming months.
In as much as we are experiencing this phenomenal performance from the Cedi, it appears that it has its demerits, especially in the world of trade. Yeah. It's good news, but in the world of trade, it has its own demerits. Surely we are to expect reduced export competitiveness, because if we look at our performance to other industries, we're going to see quite uncompetitive performance, basically based on our export. We tend to have less because the dollar value change difference will be quite minimal if we are to export. So we feel it in our trade deficit shortly because our revenue expectation will come down. We export oil because our expectation from oil revenue, we are likely to see minimal revenue collection from our oil export. And also gold as well. Gold export in terms of revenue will experience a minimal depreciation or let's say downfall in revenue, shortfall in revenue subsequently. Another very interesting thing that we should expect is the impact on foreign exchange earnings, which I've made mention. So these are the things we should be expecting. However, the announcement and the receipt of it and the rate of fall, as you made mention, we've seen it before. Whether it is sustainable.
Exactly. Sustainability is key.
Exactly. Whether it is a sign, it's a wonders. We are still reading the market. We'll make sure here on Beyond the Numbers, we bring you up-to-date information on what is happening on the market. I'm sure a lot of you have sent your messages on Facebook. We'll make sure on Friday here on Beyond the Numbers at 5:30 p.m., we'll bring you insightful analysis and follow-up on research figures and numbers that are well reliable that you can use on industry. So yes, today we touched on the Cedi. Friday will not keep you informed though, but expect the best.
Yeah,
What do you say?
yeah, everyone should tune in on Friday and we'll show them what we have.
Awesome. My name is Winston Taki and the chairman himself.
I'm Caleb Zeblem. It was nice being here.
Amazing. So we'll see you same time on Friday, 5:30. Have a wonderful business day. Bye-bye.